Hello and welcome, everybody. Today we're talking about being an empathic, sensitive person and emotionally projecting onto others. And it's something that I've had quite a bit of experience with both of those things. I'm a fairly sensitive person who has pretty strong empathic impressions when I'm around others. I also, like many other sensitive, empathic types of people, can get triggered very easily. And yeah, I guess I'm a more emotionally reactive type of person. And I think that those character traits they often cohabitate in the same individual, being empathic, sensitive, and being emotionally reactive and volatile. And understanding the distinction between a clear empathic impression, feeling what's going on in a person, having an intuitive sense about somebody else's emotional state that's actually correct, making the distinction between that and just being emotionally triggered and feeling my own stuff and projecting that onto the people around me. It's a pretty difficult thing at times. And it's something I've learned to have a lot of humility around. And today, I guess I just want to share a few thoughts and experiences on the subject. And I'll start with a story that maybe some of you listening can relate to this. This happened many years ago. I had an acquaintance and she lost a significant amount of weight. And I remember seeing her. It had been a while, and I went to congratulate her. I had noticed the change, and I thought she looked great when she had the weight that she had lost, and I thought she looked great now too. And I wanted to acknowledge that, there was a change, and I wanted to say, "You're looking good." Something kept on stopping me. It was like my throat got caught every time I went to say it, and I just eventually kind of trusted the feeling. I was like, there's something going on here. It's not healthy for me to say that to her. There's something that is it's just wrong. So I just, held my compliment back as much as I wanted to share it, and I tried a few times, but my throat would just kind of tighten up. And years later we talked, and she shared that she had struggled with body dysmorphia and with an eating disorder, and all of a sudden that experience kind of clicked in me, and I thought, wait a minute, that's kind of what I felt back then, years ago, when I kept on getting stopped, and I noticed that she had lost that weight. And as she talked about timelines and stuff, it was clear that that was during a period of unhealthy habits that were due to the body dysmorphia and the eating issues, the eating disorder. And it was just another of many ongoing examples of getting an empathic impression that's very clear and that maybe I don't fully understand at the time, but is connected to something true and real, and something that's, yeah, just this kind of magical connectivity that we can share with one another. And that's kind of a sad example, because that person was struggling with something quite sad. And when we were able to talk about it, it really made me, love them and appreciate them and feel for them all the more, knowing that that's something they had been struggling with. But that's, in the context of this conversation, that as an empathic impression is something I experience very regularly. And probably some of the people, or many of the people watching or listening to this, can relate. Going through life and having these impressions, having these senses, and then talking it out with somebody, and sure enough, it's like, oh yeah, I felt that before you even said anything. Or I felt what you were saying, when you told me that lie, I could feel what was really true. And having it confirmed again and again. That happens regularly. And what also happens regularly is I get triggered every day, or Pretty much. And and when that happens, my body and my mind are flooded with feelings that distort my perception of reality. They distort my perception of others and myself. And they sometimes feel and look like an empathic or intuitive perception. Sometimes they're very convincing. It's like, wait a minute, I know what this is. That person, I can't trust them. That person's bad. That person's judging me. That person doesn't like me. Whatever it is, if I'm emotionally triggered, I will start seeing myself out there. And it will look and feel sometimes very much like an empathic or an intuitive impression. And there was a period of time where I didn't have too much humility with this, and I think I probably believed more of those projections than I probably should have, and had a sense of arrogance or hubris that, man, I'm empathic, I'm intuitive, I know exactly what's going on here. That person hates me, and I know it because of what I'm feeling in my body, when really I was just triggered, I was projecting, and I was not seeing things clearly. And I would say that at this point in my life, I have not mastered this, even kind of, sort of. I've just developed more humility around it. Yeah, like more, and like it's an ongoing development of humility, because these two things, these two experiences that I have are both part of my experience. Sometimes I have these kind of beautiful empathic impressions and connections and experiences, and I can really connect with something going on in another person. It's kind of magical. And then other times I'm just triggered and I'm projecting, and I'm projecting a hope or an insecurity. It could be anything. And understanding that distinction, sometimes I could say that it's an easy thing, but I really think it's a huge challenge. And it's been a really liberating thing for me to hold all of it a little bit more loosely, to have the humility and lightheartedness around these perceptions, to know, like, yeah, I'm not a master of perception. I don't always see things right or clearly. In fact, nearly every day I see things unclearly because of my emotional baggage, or because I didn't sleep well, or whatever conditioning I'm carrying that I don't yet even understand. And also acknowledging that I've had, part of my experience in life is having empathic receptivity and having perceptions. And it's a very healthy, beautiful thing to not disown those and not disqualify those. Even when people say, no, you're wrong, your feelings aren't correct, to know to not completely just disown or toss away certain perceptions, but to hold them and my humility and kind of juggle it all. For me, it's been a much more fun and healthy way of going through the world, and yeah, kind of understanding the importance of acknowledging empathic perceptions. For example, when I chose to not tell that friend years ago that she looked amazing because she had lost a lot of weight, I listened to a really beautiful, healthy instinct, because I didn't feed some demon in my friend's psyche that was like, oh, he likes this? I'm being good? I should do more of this? Because I listened to that empathic, intuitive hunch, I did something I didn't understand that was beneficial. It's because I'm really glad in that interaction I didn't feed that idea that there was something good about doing whatever she was doing at that moment that was a pattern of self-harm and self-destruction based on social acceptance or trying to fit into something that wasn't healthy or natural. Yeah, so there's just so many good things that come from listening to um to our feelings, I guess, and just understanding the nuance and complexity and subtlety of it, that sometimes it's just my own stuff. Sometimes it's actually what's going on out there. And a lot of the time, it's a blend of the two. And yeah, life is good when I hold, some humility around it, some lightheartedness around it, and understand that all of my perceptions of what's going on in me, of what's going on outside of me, um, they have their limitations. And that's all I wanted to share today. Just a couple thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, there's many ways you can let me know. You can give this a like. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube or on whatever podcast streaming platform you're listening to this on. If you're interested in checking out my book, you will find info about that in the description or in the show notes. And until next time, have a beautiful day.